Hey guys, just thought I would share a little video of an automation that I finished building for a client. Something a little bit different, something a little bit interesting. I have not put out that much automation content recently. Yeah, I just thought I'd share this. So the client came to me. They're extracting profiles from LinkedIn and trying to enrich them to get emails. They're not actually doing any outreach on LinkedIn directly. They were using Phantom Buster in order to get drop contact emails and then enriching them and sending over into Lemlist. They were using like hundreds of different Google Sheets, like literally hundreds. And they walked me through this, their like current process. They also had a like people-based approval system to check if a lead was actually valid and worth reaching out to. So I've tried to automate it as much as possible. And I'll walk you through each of the stages and processes that I implemented for them. Just to give you like a general like rundown of how it actually came out. So they're able to scrape about 150 profiles per day, at least they previously were, per LinkedIn account. And so that would then generate a certain number of email addresses, let's say a 50% match rate. So each LinkedIn account they had was generating, I would estimate, around 40 to 80 new emails per day that they were able to send out. And using like this new strategy that I implemented, it's now gone like well above 10x, perhaps 20x their outreach potential. So yeah, I'm really quite interested to share this with you. Like I said before, it was quite a, it was built on Google Sheets so that it couldn't communicate with each other. So like, of course, if you know me, we've rebuilt this on Airtable, my tool of choice for most things actually. So yeah, let's get straight into it. This is the like actual Integromat scenario. So I'll just walk you through what is happening. We're grabbing the LinkedIn account and finding searches that are connected to that account. We're then extracting all of the results, updating the record, showing the last page that we actually scraped. This will then pass it down to another path. If we have leads that exist already, it will verify that email address. And if it's a valid email, the next time the scenario runs, we'll add it into Lemlist and add it into HubSpot. Currently, HubSpot isn't actually fully integrated, but it will sync over to Lemlist. And this will only run the first time the scenario runs. Each time the scenario runs, it will just run a little check to see, do we have any emails that we need to verify? Do we have any emails that are verified and we need to add in to start the actual email outreach process? So then we're going to do like a LinkedIn profile scrape. And from that profile scrape, we then go and get the company employees. Now, the way that I did this, I'm not directly using their LinkedIn account. And that is how we were able to increase the amount of the capabilities of the number of profiles they were able to view per day. Of course, if you're doing this with your own LinkedIn account, you can do maybe 100, maybe 200 profile scrapes per day, bearing in mind we had to get the company information as well. So I've actually outsourced this. So for us to be able to massively increase the number of profile scrapes we can do per day, this automation can handle hundreds of thousands of profile scrapes and company scrapes because we're not using their profiles to do it directly. We're using private APIs. And then the process is really quite simple. It will go down and we'll check drop contact to see if we can find an email on drop contact. The only reason I did it in this order is because it was cheapest. So of course it makes sense if we're able to find an email with the cheapest service, we'll take what drop contact has to offer. This then checks, did we get a response from drop contact? Did they find an email? And you just need to add a little delay here. Very simple. We'll then update the Airtable database. If it has found an email, the next time it runs, like I said, it will go down this path and it will go and verify the email. If it hasn't found an email, then the next thing that we're using is People Data Labs. This is a new API that I came across. I'm not actually sure of the price of it because I just took the 1,000 free API credits and I recommended to the client like they could potentially just use a virtual assistant to keep making new accounts. I imagine it's going to be quite an expensive API. However, the level of data and information that you get with these API requests is It's phenomenal. It's a really, really interesting tool, actually. It will give you all of the LinkedIn data, all the LinkedIn company data, telephone number if it has it, email addresses, entire company history. It's really got everything. So it's a new tool that I've been it's not new as a business, but I've just recently started using it. Really interesting API, and the level of data that you get is just it's really impressive. It's worth looking at. And then once again, the final automation, if People Data Labs isn't able to grab an email for the prospect, then we will go down to Hunter. And if we don't find an email from Hunter, we will just call it quits. We could add in a load of other different APIs. I was trying to keep this as sort of as lean as possible. We could try like a few other tools, but generally I think we've got like the big ones covered. Snov.io, the API is a bit of a pain to work with, to be honest. Like, you have to keep refreshing your API token, and when you're using a tool like Integromat to do this, to keep refreshing the API token for them is just going to use up a load of credit. So as a tool, I do like it. However, the API is just a little bit annoying to work with, in my opinion. Anyway, the more interesting side of this automation, so that's like just a general walkthrough of what we're actually doing and how it all works. And then if I walk you through Airtable, so they're currently managing 5 different accounts. So they can actually plug these accounts directly in just by creating a new row and then adding the growth hacking account ID here. Then they can connect to LinkedIn search to it. And this will tell you what the progress is. So currently they're connecting, I'm not sure of the exact number, but potentially up to like 100 different searches. Here we go. Yeah. 206 pending searches, 101 here, 331. So this is 1% through all of the 206 searches that are attached to this account. And each of those searches maybe has 100, maybe a few hundred, maybe 10 or 20 LinkedIn profiles within each search. And then this will tell you how many leads is found today from this particular profile. This is just me running around and doing a bit of testing, but it's not fully live yet. So we found 92 leads today. And the reason for adding that in is just so we can put in a particular limit. Let's say that we scraped 2,500 leads today from one account. We could push LinkedIn a little bit, but we don't actually want to go too much higher than that. So that is the number of leads that we have actually scraped from LinkedIn itself. The only process in this automation that uses the LinkedIn accounts is extracting LinkedIn Sales Navigator searches. And the only reason that I did that as well is because they wanted to have the filter criteria in their search to check if a LinkedIn prospect has posted within a 30-day period or a 90-day period and so on. And they have that segregation built in. So next up, let's go into like the LinkedIn search tab. So like I said, previously they had like hundreds of Google Sheets where everything was sort of separated based on the outreach industry, in this case, management consulting. I brought this all into Airtable and built the structure in Airtable for this, just to make it like all in one place. You can visually see everything. And in my opinion, it's much, much cleaner. Hopefully they're happy with it as well. So all they're doing is pasting the LinkedIn search URL that they want to scrape from. Whenever a lead is found, it's automatically going to be attached here. Then we dynamically add the total number of pages, and this is the current page that we're on. It then also adds in the total number of emails found and the percentage of emails found. Currently, Dropbox has run out of API credits. So I was just using a little test account, so they're actually going to have to upgrade it. This is a nice little formula that I built, which just shows you if the status is in progress, if it's pending, or if it's completed. It updates automatically. If result scraped is 0, then it means it's pending scrape because we haven't got any results yet. If total pages is equal to page, it means complete. If it's less than, it means that it's in progress, right? So just like really simple formula, but just quite a nice, quite nice visuals for me anyway. I like to really easily be able to see the status of each of my, of everything that's in progress, basically. Then we have the done percentage. So this will tell you how far through the automation it is, how many leads have been found today in each particular search. And then also just to add in like something else quite interesting. So they have unique Lemlist outreach email sequences for each of the different searches based on the industry. So what they can do is then if they just paste in the Lemlist ID, the prospect will be added into the correct campaign every single time. So I hope that makes sense. So they can assign a specific email campaign outreach to each specific LinkedIn search. So if they really wanted to go very granular, each different location could actually have its own Lemlist outreach sequence added to it automatically, and the automation would understand where to correctly add in the LinkedIn prospects. If we go into the email finder, this has like template API keys in at the moment, so you're welcome to steal them. They won't work very long. So what I built here is like you can just change the API keys like very, very quickly. So what I mentioned with People Data Labs is I think it's going to be quite an expensive tool. And the reason for that, the reason I built this is so they could potentially have a virtual assistant every time they reach their 1,000 request limit. They can just have someone update this field with a new API key, which to me just makes a lot of sense. Drop Contact currently is at a 0% success rate because it's run out of searches. But here you can actually see the success rate for each individual email finder tool. So bearing in mind, it goes through Drop Contact first, and then it's passed on to People Data Labs, and then it's passed on to Hunter. So People Data Labs is finding us a match for 51% of the prospects that we hand to it, which is really quite good. And then anything that People Data Labs can't find emails for, Hunter is then running it as well. So we've actually passed on 23 prospects into Hunter, and it's found 13% of them, which is also quite good. And you could, like I said, you could literally stack as many different email finder tools on top of each other as you want. For me, it just gets to a certain point where if like some of the big guys haven't been able to pick up an email for that person, we could run through hundreds of different email finder tools and just go on forever, just pretty much wasting Integromat credits. So I just opted to run it through these tools, which have like a really high coverage rate, and just sort of leave it there essentially. But of course, you have the option to add in more if you choose to. Then any lead that is found via our search is automatically tagged back into that search, so we can use it for some type of like analytics to know like how many prospects were pulled and where they were pulled from which particular search they were pulled from. And then in here, we've just got like the standard stuff, like first name, last name, company, email, where the email came from. And this is actually what the analytics is built on top of. Did it come from People Data Labs, Drop Contact, or from Hunter? Then we also have the website and any other information that Drop Contact gives us, as well as the actual company website and the headline from LinkedIn. Profile picture, maybe it's useful to them. Personally, I don't actually use LinkedIn profile pictures anywhere. I think there's a level of automation and scraping where you can actually just get a little bit creepy and maybe take personalization a bit too far. So yeah, personally, I don't use it, but nonetheless, it's interesting to have. And you can also do some type of like photo analysis, which I have done in LinkedIn automations before. Here's like the company ID, which we use for scraping. It's quite important for them to have the industry and the employees. I'll go on to why that is in a minute. Here's the response from our email verification tool. It's deliverable and it's accepted. And then they were previously doing something where they would manually go through the leads just to make sure that they were valid prospects. So I built out this view where essentially, as long as an email, in fact, I just need to correct one issue I've just seen there. Email status does not contain undeliverable. So now whenever we have a deliverable email address, so it's a valid email address and it's been accepted, we've run it through our scraper, we've got all the information. This is sort of like a validation stage. So they can either manually check here, where they can just click add to Lemlist. This prospect will then be moved into the Lemlist queue. And then I was basically thinking, like, of course they want to do some type of review. So I built these like dynamic buttons, really easy to do. Any field that you have, you can turn into a button within Airtable, just another one of the amazing benefits of using Airtable. So when they click this, it will automatically open the LinkedIn profile page. If they click this, it will open the company page, and here it will open the website. Technically, they have got all of the data available here anyway, because I've already extracted like the LinkedIn company employees, the description, and so on. But sometimes it's nicer just to get a visual feel of the actual LinkedIn company page. And I will still do that quite often rather than just looking at a spreadsheet, which is why I added that there. So this is like a productivity thing, basically. I thought that there would be links that they would be using to review quite often. And then if they click add to Lemlist, it will be added into the Lemlist queue, and it will automatically be put into the Lemlist outreach campaign, as we discussed earlier. Or they can potentially like reject a lead if it's not valid. Something else that they asked me for is they want like an automatic filtering process to be able to check, is a lead, is it actually what they want? So what I've built out here is they can add in, and any search that they have, there was a field, I don't know if you saw this, but you can attach a filter to it, and this will automatically filter through any prospects that you have in that come through, just to make sure that they're 100% valid. And if they match this filter, it will automatically approve them to go into Lemlist. So I hope this is making sense. The only ones that are put into this bay for manual approval is if the filtration system isn't sure if it's a 100% match or not. So I've tried to automate as much of the work as possible. So if it matches these filters, employee count is between 1, maximum 50. It matches this LinkedIn location. All of the LinkedIn locations I actually extracted from LinkedIn, just to make sure that there was like cross compatibility. So anything that they click in here will be added in. They can add in as many or as few as they want. They can have one or they can have hundreds. And then you can also add in like the LinkedIn codes. So these are LinkedIn industry codes. As you can see what the actual names are here. Again, this is taken directly from LinkedIn to ensure that any information we're scraping directly from LinkedIn is also, it gives us a 100% match, if that makes sense. So you can extract this from like the LinkedIn API directly. So they can add in any LinkedIn categories that they want for industry, for location, for company size. They're the specific filters that they ask for. We could also look into doing like specific keywords on the profile page or on the company page, but they didn't opt in for that. So this is just an easy process where we can check, is this prospect, are they 100% in our target market? If they are, they're automatically put into the email sequence. If they're not, then it's held off and it's put into like the manual review bay, let's call it. If you're wondering how this is built, you can just add in like a separate table, in which case this is industry codes, which I pasted them all in. This is like a sort of high level category. It falls within technology, and this is the actual industry itself. And then these are the industry codes as provided by LinkedIn. Same for locations here. I just extracted all of the possible locations that LinkedIn offers, and it's put in here. And it's just a really simple filter. If LinkedIn profile contains this, I'm printing out every single of the names here. As long as the industry name is contained within this block of text, it means that we have a match, and it will automatically be passed through. So all in all, I think this was it was quite an interesting thing to build. Like now I'm really quite focused on building like relational databases, which is also what the entire Notion system is built upon. I think it's so interesting, like the analytics and the automation that you can just build and provide, as well as saving yourself an Integromat credits rather than just having to look up what's going on in another field. You can just pull all of the data through to work from like very high level. The highest level here is the accounts page, going down into smaller and smaller tasks, but having all of that information accessible at the highest level of your database, which for us is the accounts page. So yeah, this is I've been doing quite a lot more automation recently, mostly like clients requesting me to build out some automations for them, and we've had like some interesting requests. So yeah, this was just one of them, something like a little bit different that you haven't seen before, due to like the LinkedIn restrictions being set to like 100 per week. A lot more people are opting for an approach such as this. They still want to be able to perform the outreach from LinkedIn, but they want to be able to do it at scale. So with this particular method, we're able to extract 2,500 prospects per day, potentially even more. Like anywhere between 1,000 to 4,000 is what I would do per day, and I would like alternate it to keep it random. But let's call it an average of like 2,500 prospects per day per LinkedIn account. Grab the emails for them and add them into a cold email outreach sequence. So this is like the direction that I'm sort of seeing a lot of people move into. And there's like another, just like getting a little bit off topic now, one way around like the LinkedIn outreach is that you can actually, they're asking you for an email address. So you could actually also use a method such as this to get the valid email for the person. And then you could also add that in to be able to send the LinkedIn connection request. If that makes sense. There are ways around it, but it's just becoming more and more popular that people are moving to like cold email outreach based off of LinkedIn data, which also makes like complete sense. Other than that, personally, I've not actually been doing too much on LinkedIn recently. I'm not really like promoting any products, to be honest. I'm enjoying like the $0 to $1 million series, and I have got like the 70 LinkedIn accounts still sitting there. Potentially I could look into doing like some type of affiliate stuff, but at the moment I'm just or pushing some of my own products, but at the moment I'm just enjoying building a few different like freelance automations. People are coming to me with some quite interesting problems, and I enjoy solving problems, automating things. It gives me quite a lot of satisfaction knowing that prior to using this automation, the client I've just built this for, they were doing like 150 scrapes per day per LinkedIn account. And as much as this method is going to be a little bit more expensive for them, we've way more than 10x their outreach, between 15 to 20x the volume of outreach that they're able to make. As on top of that, as well as automating a lot of the processes that they were previously using people for to manually review these, to manually go through like the filtering process that I just walked through. And I just find it quite interesting to automate these processes, to be honest, and to be able to walk away from it knowing that I've 10x, 20x a company's outreach capabilities, which should lead into like a massive increase in their revenue. And that's basically what I enjoy doing at the moment anyway. Other than that, please feel free to leave any questions and comments. It's nice to put another automation video out on this channel. To be honest, it's been a little while since I was able to, but mostly I've not been building anything like really different or anything like super interesting, mostly just like some basic LinkedIn outreach things that people see videos on my channel and they just want me to remake things that I've built before. I do have a project with like another client where they've basically, they're hiring me to basically build whatever I want for them, which is always like an interesting situation to be put in. So they're just paying like an hourly rate and they're just saying, just focus, like this is the problems that we have. We'd like to see growth. What can you do for us? So just to be sort of let loose on a project is always quite interesting, basically just to be left to my own devices to see what ideas that I can come up with. They basically just wanted like a fresh point of view and like some fresh ideas to be brought to the table in terms of growth and automation. So hopefully I'll get to record some interesting videos from that project as well, as long as I have their permission to do so. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Any questions, as always, just leave a comment.